he's also smart enough to not be fucking around on Twitter. I'm going to speak on this one more time because two things. One, I can tell fans like this idea that Steve Cohen's on Twitter. If you're not in the loop, Steve Cohen, the Twitter handle, Stephen A. Cohen 2 popped up a couple weeks ago. And then all of a sudden it was confirmed that it was him and that they're in the process of getting verified. And all these Mets fans were like, oh, wow, Steve Cohen's actually on Twitter. We can talk to him. And I said, no fucking way that Steve Cohen, who's been a recluse for the last 30 years, is now the guy who's on Twitter. And while on Twitter saying things like, hey, fans, what do you want to see from your team? Like weird, corny shit like that. And then he was more and more active, and fans seemed to love it. And then people said, like, oh, egg on your face, KFC. His wife confirmed it. The Mets are following him. The Mets are tagging him. It's a real account. I said, I'm not denying it's real. I'm saying I don't think he's the one sending the tweets. I just don't think he's a Twitter guy. And then I said it one more time on Twitter the other day, and I was going to leave it alone because, like I said, one, I can tell Mets fans love it. And I personally don't. I think I'd rather him be like this shadowy figure who like doesn't give a fuck and doesn't toil with us commoners. But whatever, he's a man of the people. They like it. And number two, it is a real account and it is associated with him. So I don't want to piss him or anyone in his family off. So I'm going to stop talking about it. But my one last comment, I tweeted, I don't think this is actually him. And that account replied to me. And everyone was like, oh, you got dunked on. Stephen Cohen gave you a facial. Like, first of all, I would love Stephen Cohen to give me a facial. Anytime you want, Steve, call me up. The reply that I received, I had said to him, it's not really Steve tweeting. The reply I got was, wrong. I'm sitting here with my wife watching sports. That is the most wife tweet I've ever seen in my life. No guy is like, I'm just here with my wife, guys. It's just not a guy's tweet. That is his wife tweeting. I guarantee it. That is your girlfriend tweeting. That is your girlfriend has control of your shit. No. I'm just here with my honey bunch. We're just watching sports. Everyone was like, oh, like kill shot. I was like, yeah, for me. That was the most obvious. My wife sent this tweet ever. And that's fine. Even in the press conference, he listed like his wife is going to be the head of this and that. She's going to be heavily involved in the foundation and the philanthropy and the day-to-day operations and all this shit. That is her or someone in her camp who is running that account. But what sucks is I was like, until I see some proof. So I think eventually what would happen is if I continue to push this, I think eventually his wife would be like, Steve, take a picture of yourself tweeting at the computer. I'm tweeting it out. Like I can only lose this battle, you know? So I'm done. I will no longer talk about it. I will gladly tweet with quote unquote Stephen Cohen on Twitter, but I guarantee there's no way, maybe here and there he's sending a tweet, but he ain't a Twitter guy.
I would like them all to just be very careful. I love both him and his wife on there, and they've done all the right things.
With trouble though, like I've always said, if I was a GM or an owner, I would be. You can't do this anymore because it's too important to people to grow their brands and have their own lifestyle. In the early days, I would have had a rule: no social media, because it leads. What's the pro? What's the benefit to having a Twitter account as an athlete for the team? For the player, you can grow your brand in many ways. For the team, it's good to be involved in social media. If they grow their brand, your brand grows. It's kind of a rising tides thing. But what is like the direct benefit? There really is none, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, communicating directly with the people does give you a different sort of feeling. The thing is, you got to be real. Like Sandy Alderson, the first time around, jumped on Twitter, and as soon as things went wrong, there were no tweets to be seen from him ever again. Yeah. So how are you going to deal with that? That's the reason I'd rather him not be on there, because it's like, when everybody's berating or everybody's venting their frustrations if something goes wrong, like, I don't know, just you go fix it. Don't worry about responding to the people,
Right. And it's not going to affect him, but I'm saying when we're out here complaining, when you can direct it at the guy, and you know that on some level you might be reaching him or whatever. It's just like it makes it too real. Like even when I was complaining about when Pete Alonso ruined that game with the rain delay, and he hopped back on and was talking shit, and it was like now it's a thing, and like people are talking about it. Can just only lead to drama, and it might be drama that he doesn't give a fuck about. He's like, whatever, dude. If he got on Twitter, if it was actually him, and he's like, I'm here to fuck shit up, I'd be like, let's cook. But he's on there going like, what do you want to see, fans? And that just feels very cookie cutter, old school.
But don't you think there's a chance that he just is that? Because the same way he's like, it's not about money, it's about winning, it's about making this. I've been a lifelong fan, and I'm going to make this thing awesome for the fans. Maybe that's what he's saying.
I keep saying that like everything we know about him is kind of the opposite. But A, we don't know shit about him. I'm basing it off of like a lack of knowledge of him. And B, that's like the businessman Cohen. That's the hedge fund trader. Maybe the Mets fan in him is like truly just like I love all Mets fans and I want to hear from you. But I think the reason why I keep having this argument is because I'm projecting what I want. I want him to be this shadowy Bobby Axelrod. I want that. I want billions. I don't want like the, hey gang, like we're here to win. You know, it's like I want someone to be like, I'm here to fuck shit up. But everything he said in that press conference was so good that it has me more confident than ever that we are about to see the Mets be good, and that means you're about to see me be happy. And it's interesting. It's something. I mean, I have a 11-year, pushing now 12-year career at Barstool, and you've never seen this. Like Joe Beningo, fucking all respect to Joe Beningo. Joe B, he's a local radio host here in New York. He just retired. He said on his last day, he was like, 25 years on the air, not one of my teams ever won a championship. Like it can happen. You can have a full career in sports media, and I really have to give Joe B all the props in the world, because more so than any other radio host that I've ever looked up to, or you know, I don't really have anybody that I've ever like modeled myself after, but there have definitely been influences that either consciously or subconsciously have like molded who I am. Carton's one of them, obviously Francesa, a lot of the New York guys, but more than anybody, Joe Beningo was the one who told me it was okay to make fun of your team, to call them out for sucking. You don't have to be perennially positive. You don't have to put up with the horrendous incompetence. If they're bad year after year after year, you can call them out. That to me changed my whole outlook and perspective, where it was like, I am here. I'm probably not going to make any friends with the organizations. I'm not going to get invited to any owner's box anytime soon, the way that some of these guys here at Barstool are. But that's because my teams are the ones that are bad and need to be called out. If I'm going to keep it real, I need to call them out. And that's always been the hardest thing for me in my career, was like, well, I'm going to have to I'm going to have to say this guy fucking sucks. And they're going to see it. Once Barstool got big enough that these players and owners and GMs can see it, I'm sure they saw that stuff and they were like, man, fuck this KFC guy. And they absolutely should hate me. But I made the choice of being like, I'm not gonna be phony for the sake of like building a friendship with these guys. I'm going to be here long after they're gone. I'm going to be a Mets fan covering this team forever. They're only going to be here for a cup of coffee for their time here, so I can't sell out for it.
That's why I always thought was interesting when trying to like book guests. Like, I don't know. I mean, I do like talking. I kind of like it, but I'd rather just talk about the Mets. Like, I don't need, the fans the players to come on and hear what they think. Like, they're going to, we're out here doing our best. Like, we just try and play baseball. When I want to talk to and with Mets fans about the experience and win and lose with them, that's what I listen to a show for.
Yeah, I just don't want, like, when I think about what I want out of my career, it's like I want money and I want, like, the fans to resonate with me. I don't want to be friends with, like, any famous people, really. If that happens naturally, like, cool. But I, like, at the cost of being, like, if I couldn't get on there and be like, fuck the Jets, man, this team fucking sucks. And Joe Beningo was the one who really, like, let me know you can have a career doing that. But my point being that, there was a time where I remember thinking, I will go my whole time just like Joe B did. I'll probably go 25, 30 years. Who knows? I started even earlier than him. So like there's a chance I went 40 years, 50 years. And I don't think you'd ever get to see me blog a championship or react to a parade or whatever. And now I think there's, as good of a chance as ever and as any team has. And it's funny to me to like, what else can you, what other like blogger here is going to have that big of a like change?